It's coming out there, coming out there. Brilliant. Pop that in. There we go. All right. Please refresh the page. Okay. Going live. Hope everyone's doing well. Oh, it's already time to go. All right, let's get this party started. Got a few streams happening here. Let things trickle in. All right. Oh, perfect. All right, let's do this. All right. Okay. Don't need my headphones. All right, let's get settled in. I can see the bit rate's okay in the stream. All right. Let me pop that a bit further up so I can see. All right, I'll pull that down there and we are ready to go once I start recording everything. So where's that? No, not recording that, not recording that. Need to select the right mic. I've accidentally recorded the wrong one. So is it Rode, Pod Mic, USB? That's what I want. All right, good. Hopefully I'm coming in. Sorry about that. I'm probably hearing a bit of noise through the stream. I think we're good to go. Yeah, awesome. Okay, all right, all right, all right. Let's do this. Now let's switch over. What am I doing? Switching over to that, and we are good to go. So, yes. Hello, and welcome to tonight's live stream. Today, we're going to be looking at how to create and manage user registrations. Now, I do understand it's not the most glamorous thing. There's no AI. Wait, let me think. No, there is no AI in this stream, believe it or not. But it is an important facet when it comes to managing Drupal sites. Being able to understand how user registration works, because if you accidentally turn it on, you want to make sure that you know what you're getting yourself signed up for. So what we're going to do is go through the process of, first of all, learning about just how to set up basic registration in Drupal CMS. And then we're going to take a look at two modules. The first one is called Profile. This allows you to create profiles. Now you might be thinking, what's the difference between a user account and a profile? Well, I will get to that, but essentially a profile is separate to the user account. So if you want to track a lot of fields on a user, so you want to have them choose an option from a few drop downs and a few fields and this and that, then you don't want to add all those custom fields to the user account because it gets very hard to maintain. And trust me, I've worked on Drupal sites where we've utilized 20 custom fields on the user profile. And it's very annoying, especially when you have required fields, because to create a basic test account, you need to fill out all these fields. This is where profile can help. And you can have multiple profiles. And then finally, we're going to take another look into a module called registration role. And this just allows you to automatically create roles when users register. So we're not going to be covering that many modules, but we do have a lot to cover. So let me just jump right in. So here I've got a Drupal CMS site. Now, for people who don't know, Drupal CMS was released about 6 weeks ago now. There will be a point where I'll actually stop saying about Drupal CMS, but I think it's important just to understand what Drupal CMS is quickly. Now, chances are most people are watching this video after the fact, so you're probably watching it a year from now. But Drupal CMS is just a nice packaged version of Drupal, and it was released mid-January, and it comes out of the box with a few extra things such as a different backend, a few extra modules, and I like to use it as kind of the base moving forward. A Drupal core is a standard Drupal core, is a standard Drupal that we all know and love, and Drupal CMS is just a nice packaged version of Drupal core, and that is it. So everything I cover here, you can use in Drupal core. It doesn't matter, and I will mention if there are specific things that you need to be aware of. So first things first, it's important to understand the roles when it comes to Drupal. So let's quickly discuss that, because if you don't understand that part, then you are going to struggle. So if you come to people here on the left-hand side and click on roles, you will see a few user roles. Out of the box, Drupal gives us anonymous and authenticated. And then you can add in content editor. That's a custom one that I think Drupal CMS just loads up for you. And then you have administrator. And so the administrator role is a special role which has been designated as the admin role. Now, if you've used Drupal in the past, I'm sure you're probably aware of user one. So I think this has changed now. I do believe that they've actually removed that functionality out, but back in the day, user one, so the user account with a user ID of 1 was the root user. Super user had access to everything. Things have kind of changed now. I do believe Drupal has changed that functionality, but in the old days, if you had user 1, you had access to everything. But now, as of a few versions of Drupal, there is this administrative role where you can designate a role to be an administrative role. It can be called administrator, but you can call it whatever you want. You can call it super user, you can call it whatever you want. But the two most important are anonymous and authenticated. Anonymous user gets added to any non-logged in user, no matter what. Now, non-logged in users do not have a session. But when you're writing custom code, or if you're implementing roles and permissions in Drupal, then if you only want, say, a view to appear for non-logged in users, well, then you would select the anonymous user role. Then you have authenticated role, and that's this one right here. Authenticated role is given to all users that are logged in. And it is hard-coded to the point that every user that logs in gets the authenticated role. Even if you give a user content editor or administrator or 20 other roles, they'll always have, at a base level, they'll always have authenticated user role. And that's important to understand, because when you're developing your profiles and your functionality and things like that, because if you go to permissions here, you'll see that here, if you select, say, authenticated, straight away, every role after that automatically gets it, because every user will have the authenticated user role. But if I was to select this view official announcements related to Drupal to just content editor, then only content editor gets it. So when you are organizing all of your permissions and things like that, just be aware that no matter what, the user gets authenticated. And then on top of that, you can add in your own extras and stuff like that. All right. So that's important to understand. Just remember that authenticated for non-logged in, anonymous for non-logged in users and authenticated for logged in users. Now let's take a look at setting up registration. So if we go to configuration, then people, and click on account settings. From here, we can do a few things. First things first, we can add fields to the user account. So a user is a fieldable entity, just like content types, just like paragraphs, if you would call it that. Well, yeah, you would call it that. That's what they're called. So you can add in custom fields. You can manage your form display, and you can also manage the display of how the users are rendered. If we come back to settings, we do have a few extra options here because there are specific settings that are just for the user account. So you do have who can register accounts. So right now, only administrators. So that means an administrator will have to create an account for you. So if you want to stop users from just logging into a Drupal site and just making sure no one can register, if you want to stop users from registering, then make sure you set these who can register accounts to administrators only. Then if you want to allow anyone to register, then set it to visitors. If you want to allow people to register, but then the user account is blocked and it needs to be approved by an administrator, then you will set it to visitors, but administrator approval is required. Then below that, you have require email verification. That's pretty important. And then we've got enable password strength. Then you have a few other extra options which are out of scope for this video. And then further down, you do have where you can modify the emails, which we will cover later on. And this is Drupal CMS functionality. I believe it is using a custom module called Easy Email that makes it very easy to manage email templates. So that's where it is. This does differ a bit from standard Drupal core because Drupal core doesn't have it. All right, so let's set things up. And first, let's set it up so that visitors can register, but they need administrative approval. So let's set that. Now, one thing I did discover in my testing today is that Drupal CMS does have ECA, which is a module that allows you to create workflows or models where you have an event, condition, and action. This user registration, I noticed, does change the behavior. I don't want to say break because I'm not quite sure why this was developed, but anyway, this user registration does change the way the user registers when you do have the option selected visitors, but administrative approval is required. So we'll go ahead and just disable it and click on save. And we've set that. All right, perfect. And also what I'm going to do is to make sure I can see emails coming in, I'm going to utilize something that's part of DDEV. Now, DDEV is a Docker-based development environment that I'm running to host Drupal CMS, and the Drupal community has kind of standardized on it. As far as I'm aware, that they have kind of standardized it, and it is the recommended way of running Drupal CMS locally using DDEV. And it does come with this mail pit that actually captures all emails that are sent from Drupal so you can test things out. And it's great, absolutely great when it comes to testing out email issues, because if you've worked on any Drupal site that's sending out any emails, you will eventually get a ticket saying emails aren't getting sent. Okay, and then you need to kind of debug and realize, well, actually, is it Drupal sending it? Is it the SMTP that's blocking it? Is it the client's mail server rejecting it. Email is a funny thing. It's like caching. You're always fixing up email issues. In DDEV, if you go to port 8026, I believe, it will open up this mail pit. So if you have installed Drupal CMS with DDEV, then you'll be able to access it. Okay, so I've got this all set up. Now what I'll do is I will open up a incognito window. Let's pop that to the side. Well, let's actually pop that to the side. Here onto the right-hand side. And if we go to login, we should see create new account. And if we click on it, we'll have email and also username. So let's put in an email. So I'll say first@example.com and I'll just first account. Going to be making a lot of accounts tonight, and click on create new. All right. Thank you for applying for an account. Your account is currently pending approval because remember, we selected, where is that? We selected visitors, but administrative approval is required. So just remember that, because now if we go to people, we can see the account, but the status is blocked. So they can't log in. But we have also enabled require email verification. So if we go to our mail pit, we will see 2 emails. Okay. This can be confusing because we are technically receiving both. So the first one, take note of the 2 column. This is actually pretty good. I started using this mail pit today. It is awesome. Kind of like Mailhog, if anyone uses Mailhog. It's a similar thing. And it actually offers a lot of functionality. It's actually pretty cool. I did not think this was that good. Look at it. Look at it. Awesome. Yeah. All right. So the first one, we have a from and we have the to. So we can see that this is going to the user account and it's telling them that, yes, thank you for registering, blah, blah, blah. Okay, it's going to be approved. Then the administrator gets user such and such has applied for an account. Okay. So what happened there? Okay, I just clicked on it. Fine, let's close that. So as an admin, I can come to people, I can then click on edit and I can activate it. So put it on active and then click on save. All right. Now, another email has gone out to the user saying, has it? Yes, he has. And here is your user account to log in. So now they can go in and set their password. So let me just copy that, come along in here, paste it, and I can set the password. So this is a one-time password, and I'll just enter in a password. It's going to be a weak password, site's local, doesn't matter. And it is set. And there you go. So now if I log out and I log back in, what is it? First example. I've logged in, I've got an empty dashboard. Click on my account and I can edit my account. Then if we come back here, this is set to active and the roles, well, there are no roles. Well, there is technically a role. Sorry, there is. Trick question. That's going to be in the test. Is there a role? Yes, there is a role. The user has the authenticated user role because they all have authenticated user. Okay. So that's pretty much it when it comes to just setting up a basic or registration workflow with an administrative approval step. Now let's quickly change it. So let's go here and quickly change it. So it's visitors. So just visitors can do it. Let me log out, come back here. This does keep a second. What is it? Second. And then I can go ahead and click on that. I get a different message now, which says that an email has been sent with further instructions. Come back here. I get this email to simply verify my email address. I can come along here and go in there and set it. And it gets set. There you go. I've logged in without administrative approval. Now, you might be thinking, well, am I still going to get a lot of spam if they still need to verify email addresses? Yes, you will. As soon as you allow anonymous users to register on your site, you will get spam accounts. The only way, honestly, you could probably do it is if you force people to pay for something and they need a pass and they need to give they need to hand over their credit cards. But then you have other issues that I've heard about where they would use a whole bunch of test credit cards. Well, they would have a whole bunch of stolen credit cards and just test and see which credit card actually passes, and then they can kind of verify that the credit card is working. So no matter what, you will get spam accounts. It just comes down to coming up with a nice system of managing the accounts. And what I mean by that is you could do things where you track if they have logged in or the last time they have logged in. So depending on your website, if if your website has a purchasing element and you offer a free account, well, you could set up some type of workflow where if they haven't purchased something off your website, they've created a free account, but they haven't logged in for X amount of time, well, then you can probably go in there and purge their account or something like that. You can set something up. But again, it depends on the type of website that you have. So you have to take it one step at a time. All right, so if we come back here and let's go to, what is it? People? No, configuration, sorry. Account settings. Let's go ahead and modify the templates because that's another thing you're going to get from the client. How do I modify this? How do I modify that? So from here, you can modify a bunch of emails. And half the time, the trick is trying to figure out which email is which, essentially, because you may have a copy of the email and then you're like, okay, so which one is it? So in our case, let's modify the welcome, no approval required. That one, I believe, is this one right here. So let's set that one up. So click here to edit. So we're just going to go in there and edit it. And let's modify it. And let's just add in a bit of text. So from web wash. And I'll add that also to the text version as well. From web wash. You can add in custom tokens if you want. So you can open this up and see all of the amazing tokens that are available. Just click on easy email and see what is available. So you can go in there and just modify things. Everything's looking good here. Scroll down and click on save. All right, so we've saved it. Now you can access this in a different way. I believe if you go to structure, email templates, and then what is it, templates? Yes. But then it is called something else here. This is the annoying thing. So it's not called welcome. It is called, where was that? Approval. That's going to user created, because I'm just looking right down at the bottom, user created, no approval. So that is user created, no approval. So it's this one. So if I edit this, and you can see it, all right. So that one's it. And you can also preview the template as well. So you can put in a user account. So let's put that in. That's pretty cool. Scroll down and click on preview. And you can then preview it as if you are viewing it with that user, so you can pass context in. This is the first time I've played around with this module. It's pretty cool. I think I might do like a little short video about it. It's actually pretty awesome. The ability to send, HTML email. That is a big thing. Big thing. Maybe I'll cover how to send emails in general as a live stream in the future. All right, so we've done that. Let's come back here. Let's log out. Let's register another account, and this one I'll call third All right, third, got it. The same message, come back here, and we should see, here we go. From the users team, that's the site name, and then from WebWash, that is us. So we can come along in here, copy that across, and we get a nice little message right here, and we're done. There we go. So that is how you can modify the emails that get sent. And of course, as you start adding in more emails from other modules, you will be able to modify them, I believe, from this email template. And then you can make a custom email template. That is pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Now it's time to take a look at profile. So as I mentioned in the beginning, you can add custom fields to the user account. You can come along in here and add in custom fields. That you can do. But if you are going to add in a lot of fields, just be aware that every single time you create an account, you will have to fill in those fields if they are required. So my recommendation is keep the fields out of the user account and use profiles instead, because a profile is just an extra entity which is attached to the user account. So you could have a profile for customer, you could have a profile for supplier, or in our case, we're going to do a student and teacher where you can have a student account, a student profile and also a teacher profile. And you can control all of that. And so it just makes life so much easier when you're managing accounts not to have so many fields on the user account, because I've dealt with that in the past and it's not a fun experience. Because also, just imagine you're logged in and you see 20 odd fields here that aren't really used in your use case. That's the other thing you need to be aware of as well. So if you want to learn more about profile, just head over to drupal.org/project/profile or just Google it. I do believe this module was originally created for Drupal Commerce. We can have different profiles. So it's been around for a while and I have used it a few times. Yeah, it works pretty well. Works pretty well. So I've already gone ahead and downloaded it. And let's go to extend. And I'll search for profile. And I'll go ahead and install it. It does have a dependency on a module called entity, but just install it. And you are good to go. Give that a second. That was quick. And now what we need to do is go to profile types. So a profile is just a fieldable entity. That is it. And just the same as content types, you have profile types, or like vocabularies. Yeah, or like, well, it's not a vocabulary type, it's just called a vocabulary. You have, again, profile type. So the profile type is the bundle, and then the fieldable entity is, say, teacher, student, customer, supplier, and things like that. So let's go ahead and create a student account. So we'll call this one. And we'll allow the authenticated user role. And we'll also include it on the user registration form. And let's quickly just add in one field for students. So that'll be student name. All right, let's go back here. Let's call this one teacher. And let's, again, allow authenticated user. And we'll also include it, because you can include the form on the user registration and multiple ones, and click on Save and Manage Fields. And this one, let's add in a text area called Teacher Details or something like that. And click on Save Settings. All right. So now if we log out, let's just quickly log out, come here, and we come to the registration form, we can see that the profile is actually grouped using this field group. If we were to add in a whole bunch of fields to the profile, it will appear in this particular field group. Now, when we are not done, unfortunately, we need to set up the permissions. So what we need to do is let's go to people and then permissions, search for profile. Here we go. And you want to give authenticated user the ability to create student profiles, update own profiles. You want to allow them to only update it and also view their own profiles. Again, with teacher, you can create a profile. It's up to you if you want to allow them to delete. It's up to you. Update own profile and view own profile. Then we click on save user permissions. Because if we do, well, let's just log in with an existing account. We can come along in here and you should see these two tabs, teacher and student. If we remove one of them, so let's go remove student. Do you get an access denied? Oh, that's interesting. I thought you'd get an access denied. Let me just clear the cache. Clear that. All right, Drosh CR. I guess. No, okay. Well, it's just important to make sure you've got those permissions in. So let's add that one back in. So profile. Create profiles. And then here, you can see, so then if we click on profiles, you can see the actual profile has been created. If I click on teacher, let's add in teacher details and click on save. I'm going to come along in here and see the profile for that. And because I'm logged in as admin, I can go ahead and edit the profile and make a change to it. So we can change this to student name, click on save. Then if I come along in here, yeah, you can see student name has been saved. All right. So when it comes to profiles, I think that's pretty much about it. So just remember, profiles are great for just grouping fields that you do not want assigned directly to user accounts. It just makes life so much easier to manage it when it's set up just like that. So at this point, we've looked at how to set up user registration. We've looked at how to set up profiles. Now, one thing we haven't looked at is how do you give a user a different role? Because right now, if they log in, they'll always get the authenticated user role. But what if you want to give them content editor role? Now, you shouldn't, of course, but what if you want to give users the content editor role? This is where we can set up registration role. Now, there are a few modules that do offer this similar functionality, but they haven't been upgraded to Drupal 11. But this one, well, has been upgraded to Drupal 11. And so what it allows you to do is that we can configure exactly which role should be assigned when somebody registers. Now, depending on how complex your site is, you may have a lot of business logic around that. You may want to support different registration workflows. So you may want to have a separate one for teacher and a separate one for student. And that's where you have to probably utilize a bit of custom code and a custom form here and there. So I'm not going to cover that, but this one probably gets you 80% there because you can specify exactly which role will be assigned straight away when somebody registers, and it just saves the editor, or sorry, the administrator, from having to just go in there and select a role for the user. So if you want to learn more about this module, just Google registration role _role and go ahead and download it. I've already done that. And if I click on extend, search for registration, there we go, got that right there. Click on install. And all we need to do is come along into, I believe it's people. There we go. And click on registration role. Then here, roles to assign. So what we can do is give it content editor and click on save configuration. So now, if everything is working, let's set that up. All right, let's refresh. Let me create another account. Click on create new account. Message has been sent. Go in there, log in. Oh, well, you can straight away see that we do have the content editor role because we can see a whole different backend. Click on save, and then, come back in here, people, list, we have fourth with the content editor role. So with a module and a few clicks, we've now automatically added a role when users register. As I mentioned, depending on your business logic and your website, there may be a bit more functionality involved in setting things up. But in this case, the module does 90% of what is required. Now, one thing I do want to quickly show you is kind of like a cut down version of the profile functionality. So I've mentioned a few times that you want to avoid putting custom fields on the user account. But if you are going to put a custom field, what you can do is control what appears on the registration form. And we do that using a form mode. I was going to say view mode, but a form mode. So Drupal 8 got this concept called display modes. In Drupal 7, it was just view modes, but in Drupal 8, we got display modes. So a form mode is used to contextually group field widgets, whereas a view mode is used to contextually group formatters. So you can see here that view modes are used a lot more in Drupal. So we have a view mode for compact, token, and user account. So you can view the user in multiple ways. It's utilized a lot on media because you can see here that especially on the image, on the image media type, you have all of these view modes, such as 1x1, square, small, medium, large. And then on content types, you have card, full content, RSS, teaser, token. And then we have here on user, we've got register. So what we can do is let's go to configuration and click on people. But where is that? Oh, that's the same one. Okay. So we can come here and go to, where was that? user account, and let's just create one field called full name. So what is it? Full name. And click on save settings. Then anything under default will appear on, well, right now on the user registration and also the edit form. But let's just imagine, well, let's just log out of this. Where is it? Where's the log out? Oh, there it is. And click on, no, what is it? Second. And if we come in and edit, we can see full name. Okay, we can see it for now, but what we can do is remove it from default so it's not available. But if it's on register, we can put that up the top. And let's also on the register form mode, remove the student and teacher profiles. So that means if we come along in here and click on create new account, we see full name and that is it. And we don't see the profile for it. So you can see that, yes, there is a bit of customization that you can do when it comes to managing this stuff. Now, there are two modules that I will mention that I highly recommend if you want to control the form modes. The first one is form mode control. There you go. It's in the name. It allows you to display a different form mode through the URL. So you can see here. But this can be used on content type. So if you want to have a different set of field widgets for a content type, or you can control that directly through here. But you can also then use that for user registration. Then the other module, which I'll also mention, is called Form Mode Manager. It works in a similar way, but a bit different. And this one does things a little differently. I was going to cover them in this video, but it just didn't, I couldn't get it to work correctly in the context of user registration. Because this video right here goes to a video that's no longer there. I was going to cover it, yeah, but it just didn't really work. So I don't want to mention things and they don't work. All right, so that is pretty much it. Any questions before we finish up? It's going to be a short-ish one today, not going for the full hour. Hope everyone's learned a lot today. I'll just finish up then. All right, well, let's just finish it up. Well, that is it from me. Thank you so much for joining. If you want to learn more about Drupal and other CMSs, head over to webwash.net. And also, if you want to check out other videos on Drupal and Drupal CMS, just head over to our YouTube channel. Just Google YouTube Webwash, click on live, and you will see all of the available videos. I've mentioned this probably before, but I am in the process of creating like a Webwash premium community on webwash.net and getting all of these videos ad-free and trying to cut them up. But I'm thinking maybe to kind of get things over the line, I'll just upload them full length, just to kind of speed things up. And that premium community will be available soon. I've got a lot of ideas with it, especially around video, but it's going to be more than video. It's going to be more than just video. There will be a forum where you can ask questions, and also I want to offer downloadable stuff as well on it as well. I'm not quite sure what that will entail, but there will be that where you can get packaged Drupal sites and yeah, some cool stuff with that. So maybe we'll build something in Drupal and there's a video and you can watch it and play along and build it yourself, or if you want to get a downloaded version of it, just join the community and get a downloaded version of it. Yeah, all sorts of stuff. Anyway, I've got so many ideas. Pretty pumped. It's going to be a good year for Drupal CMS. Anyway, as I mentioned, if you want to learn more about Drupal, head over to webwatch.net. Check out our videos at our YouTube channel and just follow me on all the socials to get all the latest news. Anyway, that is from me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time. All right. All right. That was fun. That was fun. Well, no, thank you. Thank you. Thanks for the show. Yeah. I hope everyone learnt something. It was a busy week. I feel like I wanted to cover a bit more in this, but it was a busy week for me, and I was a bit late in preparing everything. Anyway. No, thanks. Thank you. No. Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. Thank you. I hope everyone's wherever you are, having a great day, great Friday. Well, it's a Friday for me. Due to time zones, it is, oh no, it's technically Saturday in Australia right now. So yeah, well, time zones, fun. Anyway, all right, well, I'll leave it at that. Have a great weekend, everyone, and I'll catch you all next week.